We're living now in a downsizing reality, and everything that we're trying to do now, we're trying to make sure that all of our movements and activities are calculated, because sometimes we carry too much stuff. We're always trying to figure out what to sell, what to keep, and what to give away. If you've ever moved more than one time in your life, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We have seasons that we have to purge things from our lives because they weigh us down. And in those seasons, we realize that sometimes we buy stuff and forgot that we bought it. For those of you like myself who wrestle with weight management sometimes, you find yourself looking at stuff that you used to wear that you can't wear no more. I ain't talking about nobody, I'm talking about myself. And if you keep it long enough, it'll go in style and come back out of style and come back in again. I remember as a young fella when platform shoes was the thing. And then they went out of style because now we wanted our feet on the ground so close to earth. And then all of a sudden they came back and then they went out again. And then when I'm looking around in my wife's closet, I see they have arrived one more time. And when I peruse the fashion that is upon our lives now, they got platform boots out for the brothers. So things kind of come and go depending upon the season. There are some things that we have to hold on to. They bring wonderful memories like family heirlooms that are been passed down from generation to generation, and we have to keep some of those things because they mean so much to us. If you're like me and you appreciate art, you keep certain art pieces, if they're numbered properly, because they don't depreciate in value, they appreciate in value. So there's just some things that are necessary to carry. In our text today, we'll find out from a brother who has to keep his necessary baggage because it does something for his life. And I believe this morning that if we pay attention close enough, it'll help us to do something for ours. Jesus is heading to Jerusalem after the feast of the Jews has ended. While on his journey, he has to pass by a familiar place. The place is called the Pool of Bethesda. It's at the sheep gate where people live, hoping that one day they would be healed of their maladies. John is very careful when he shares the story of Jesus because he always wants us to be mindful that Jesus is the Lord of mercy. He is mindful, Jesus is, of everything that goes on in all of our lives. Hebrews tell us that we don't have a high priest that's not in tune or in touch with the infirmities of who we are. We have somebody, and I want to remind you what I said last week, who is actively available and sits at the right hand of the throne of God, making intercession on our behalf. He knows about your every care. When you've tripped, he was right there. When you slipped, he was right there. When you were worried about your test, Jesus was right there. When you were worried about the doctor's report, the Lord was at the doctor and with you at the same time. He's available. And John wanted us to know that in this text, there is a place where people who had all kinds of maladies were hanging out together, waiting for a season when a pool was troubled by an angel. And if you made it in fast enough, whatever was bothering you was going to be healed. We live now in the reality that people are still looking for a place that will be troubled by God for them to have healing in their lives because some people refuse to change their perspective. Life can make you feel impotent sometimes, like you don't have any motivation, you don't want to progress, you feel unproductive and unprofitable. And sometimes the very foundation of your faith is shaken because life can drain you of your strength. I don't need to rehearse it, but maybe I just need to remind you that if you just watch the news once a day, you will be drained. For as we look upon the news, we don't know who to believe. We don't know who's telling the truth or who's telling a lie. It'll drain you when you look at all of the mass shootings that have gone on already in this United States of America. That's enough to drain you. It's enough to listen to Republicans, and I hate to pick on them because not all of them bad, but some Republicans who want to eliminate the history of what America done to people who were from African nation out of the history books because they want to control the narrative of our very own reality. We've been past civil rights and equal rights for over 50 years, and now we have a cluster of arrogant, egotistic people who are a little lighter than me, who feel as though that the skin color of their pigmentation gives them the right to determine how we are going to understand the history that their ancestors and even them are doing to us in public policy and in our politics as a whole. They spend a lot of energy on stuff that is just really extra baggage. I wanted you to look with me at this text, and we've discussed it before. There are a few things I want you to notice that are probing things that I want you to look at. We have a brother who's been sitting in a situation for 38 long years, and ain't nothing, excuse my vernacular, ain't nothing happened better for this brother after 38 long years. He's sitting at a pool in Bethesda. Bethesda means a house of mercy, and another translation means the house of outpouring. And here is a man sitting at a house of outpouring mercy, and he has not gotten his healing in 38 long years. 38 hours is long, 38 days is long, 38 months is long, but 38 years. He finds himself sitting in a place that represents the outpouring of mercy around a facility that have 5 porches, and 5 is the numerology in biblical terms of God's grace and his goodness, and this brother is still in the same predicament. He knows where he's at, but the pathetic problem that he has to deal with is that he doesn't understand the significance of where he's sitting, because if he understood that he was that close to being better in his life, he might have made some different decisions. Here is his physical paralysis. He's there. He's been there for such a long time. He's been in this posture for such a long time. He can't move. He can't walk. He has no ability. And the sad commentary is that he's not there by himself. Biblical text says that when Jesus found out who had the most seniority around the pool, he went straightly to him. But please be mindful, he is keeping company with other people who've been sitting around waiting on the same thing. Sometimes, my brothers and sisters, you have to realize that you must change the company that is surrounding you if your circumstances are going to change. It's hard to hang around people who are going nowhere because their conversation ain't going nowhere either. Their motivation is not going anywhere. Their outlook on life is not going anywhere. And the sad paralysis is that now he has an excuse as to why he's been sitting there for so long, and he tells Jesus, the Lord of life and power and resurrection, that I ain't got nobody to help me get in the pool. I'm waiting on somebody else to help me get myself together when really I ain't even trying to help myself. The number 38 is a number for slavery, and I'm not trying to give out lottery numbers because I don't want anybody to think Pastor giving out lottery numbers. I just want to help you to understand the significance of 38 is slavery. So here is a brother who is enslaved and trapped in a tradition that has caused him to have paralysis for 38 long years, and he still missed his healing. I wonder who I'm talking to today, who has been waiting around for somebody else to do for you what you refuse to do for yourself. I wonder who I'm talking to who says, why change when change ain't happened for me? Why should I do something different? Because what I'm doing ain't been working, and I refuse to do anything different because I'm afraid that it might work. Look at the pool. The pool don't have any water coming in it, and it don't have no water coming out of it. The pool represents a place of possibility, but it ain't clean. It smells. I mean, look at the environment around it. It's at the sheep gate. The sheep drink out of the same pool. We got all of this stuff going on. It's not a place where you go swim. It's a place that you sit around and you hope and wish that something good might happen. It's sitting right in the middle. It's a filthy pool. There's no filtration system. My wild imagination had to look at it. Was there a filtering situation, which means that it had a pump, it had a filter, it had a net to get some of the gnats and the flies out of it? It doesn't say any of that. It just says that the pool is sitting there. And people are sitting around some stinky stuff waiting on something good to happen. The pool represents a misplacing of one's faith because sometimes tradition is lived out in our lives in such a way that it helps us to misplace our faith. I know there are those who may have problems with the conversation this morning, but if you just hang in here with me, I'm going to help you see that there is a value in understanding some things don't work and some things do work. Here is the question. How long do you do the same thing and realize it ain't working? I mean, really, how many of us have been waiting on God to trouble the waters in situations and God still ain't troubled them waters? Here it is. He's close enough to see the pool. He's close enough to smell the pool, but he ain't close enough to get in the pool. Here is the problem I got with the brother. After 38 years, couldn't you just ask somebody to just put you close enough to the pool? Like, bruh, I know you on your way to get your healing, but can you just help me get to the edge of the pool so that when the troubling of the water come, I don't have to have anybody help me get in. I can just fall in on my own. I mean, I'm trying to paint the picture for you. But here is the forecast that Jesus raises with him. Do you want to be made whole? I don't see where it's recorded that anybody else had any conversation with him, but when Jesus has a conversation with him, he takes the man's excuse about somebody else not helping him and put it back in his lap and asks the man, well, let me ask you this question, bruh. do you want to get better? Do you want to be made whole? Because Jesus says, in essence, the future of you is left up to you, and it does not matter if somebody else helped you or not. The question has to be answered, do you want to be made whole? I mean, I know the spiritual projections look bad for this brother, and I know that the forecast of tomorrow looks bad for this brother, but Jesus says, I want you to answer me this question. Do you want to be made whole? And this is what I want to ask somebody today. Whatever it is that's going on with you, can I ask you this question? Do you want it to be better? Do you want your finances to be better? Do you want your health to be better? Do you want your relationship to be better? Do you want your community? Do you want your church to be better? Do you want your family relationships to be better? If you do, Jesus is asking you this same question this morning. Do you want to be better? The answer, my brothers and sisters, is closer than we think. Here is what I call a perfect prescription that's in this text, and it's all because of the necessary baggage that the man has been commanded to carry. Here's what Jesus says. I love Jesus because he's so simple. He's so profound and simple at the same time. He said, rise up, take up that bed, and walk. Rise up suggests that you need to change your posture. I like the fact that Jesus doesn't touch him, because we know if he touched him, everything would be healed. Jesus don't spit on the ground. He don't make any money. He don't give him anything to drink. He don't tell him to go show himself to the priest. He says simply, change your posture, just get up. Rise up, rise up, rise up. Because think about it. Some of the stuff that's holding us back is only holding us back because we're allowing it to hold us back.